What is up? What is up? What is up, y'all? To another episode of Breaking the Kernel. I'm really happy y'all here. It's been a while. I've been on hiatus. Black History Month. I usually like to take a little bit of a break, but we're back because I've just been itching to talk about so much. There's so much to talk about, and today we're going to focus on one of the most controversial subjects you could ever talk about on a podcast, which is Star Wars. Star Wars, and if IG followers are destroying the movie culture. Let's get into both. Starting with Star Wars. As a Star Wars fan, as someone who grew up on Star Wars, because I feel like when you grow up in the 90s, early 2000s, you're one or two camps. You're either Star Trek, Star Wars, actually, no, three kind of, like Star Wars, Star Trek, and Harry Potter. I feel like those are like the big three for that, right? And honestly, like, where did Star Wars go wrong? I'm really trying to figure out. I've been trying to rack my brain. Where did Star Wars go wrong? I really don't know. I mean, dude, like, so start. Like, okay, for starters, terrible movies. Terrible. Too many terrible movies. And I'm not even talking about the ones that came out in the 2000s. Like, the Clone Wars movie was trash. I think the Clone Wars TV series, the cartoon TV series, did so much PR for Star Wars. Like, to me, the Clone Wars TV show is like one of the best ways to consume and enjoy Star Wars content. And I'll always say that. I think Star Wars is one of those stories after the Luke trilogy, something that is really should be told through episodic storytelling. And I think the Clone Wars TV series and the Rebels TV series as well do a really great job at breaking Star Wars down to some of the key things people love about the franchise. And I just think the movies like did a really bad job, especially the ones with Rey. I think that was a huge fumble. I think The Force Awakens was such a great start, and it just sucked that every single movie after it is just really bad. And the fact that the next movie we're going to get of a Star Wars movie on the big screen is going to be The Mandalorian Grogu, and that kind of transitions into my next thing. I think terrible TV shows. I think the Mandalorian started out very strong and should have been either a limited series or should have been like 2 seasons tops. I think it's too. It's just it got too much. I think the writing took a nosedive. I think the direction for the series took a nosedive, and the fact that they're still trying to milk it out just shows me they haven't learned their lesson from Star Wars, and it really sucks. It just really sucks. Because I've been saying for the longest time, whether it's movie or TV shows, people, I'm telling you, the the average Star Wars fan at this point loves lightsabers. They love lightsaber duels. They love the epic score. And I just feel like we haven't gotten that. And then they delivered the TV series The Acolyte, where they delivered exactly what I've been saying for like 6, 7 years now that Star Wars needs to incorporate, right? Since The Force Awakens. Is lightsaber battles, is Jedi's and Sith. Let's re up the count, you know? Instead of it being just like Rey's the only Jedi and then like this is only a Sith and then it's like this is the no. Regrow the Jedi Order, regrow the Sith, and let's go again. Let's do a dance, but differently and with a lot more creativity and a new direction. And they decided to go back in time, but still give us the lightsaber duel, still give us the Jedi, and they just still they missed it. It's a huge miss. Now I wasn't down on it like other people were on the Acolyte at first, but I'm not gonna lie to you. To this day, I have not finished the Acolyte. I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't, and I know what you're saying. Oh, if you didn't finish it, it must be trash. I don't want to call it trash because I didn't finish it, so I don't have a strong opinion on it. But it didn't make me interested enough to continue. And granted, I only have like 2 episodes left. Like it was episode. I really hate to say this about her, and it's kind of going to transition to the next thing, but I want to stay on this for a second. Is that I'll expand on this again in a second, like I said, but like acting, the acting is not good on some of these things, bro. That thing is not good on some of these things, man. And it's just a damn shame. Like, I really think like that cartoon series, Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Sith, are like that. Like that's like basically like Chronicles of Star Wars, basically like something like that. I feel like that would service Star Wars a lot better. Make a bunch of mini series, or like not mini series, limited series, or even some short films or something where it's like here are some random stories from different eras in Star Wars. I think it would help keep the budget a lot smaller, and you can get really artsy with it while sticking to the Star Wars, like the Star Wars legend, the Star Wars mythos, and really deliver something cool to the fans. I feel like this thing of spamming TV shows and doing these just these disjointed movies and just relying on nostalgia bait is really bad. The Boba Fett series, I watched one episode, couldn't watch the rest. I said, fuck it. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. I could not do it. Excuse my language. I apologize. I'm very passionate about that particularly was really bad. The Mandalorian, I stopped watching after a certain point. Like the recent season that came out a couple years ago, whatever. I haven't didn't even touch it. Couldn't. It just felt like everything that's wrong with Star Wars, just overplaying your hand and with no focus, no direction. It's like, hey, we're Grogu's a huge hit, bigger hit than we thought. It's selling a bunch of toys. Let's just keep this going and let's make it so we can sell even more toys. And I hate that. That is some early 2000s and some 90s, early 2000s BS where selling toys is the biggest metric to get this cartoon to keep going. And it's like, no, stop that behavior. I get it, it's a huge marketing machine. They're in the business of getting money, but at what cost? Because man, your product is ass. And I hate it because it's Star Wars, so people are going to keep watching it, regardless whether it's a TV show or a movie. They're going to give you billions of dollars for a Star Wars movie. And I wish we just put our foot down. When it's like, hey, this movie is trash, and y'all need to sit down and really think of a plan if you're going to keep doing this. And I just like right now they have a Rey movie that people keep dropping in and out of, and I just don't know why Rey's coming back. I feel like we close a chapter on that. I feel like this was a failed chapter, and we can go. And that's the thing about beauty about Star Wars. You can go trillions of years in the future if you want to, and completely hand wave so much stuff and just start over fresh, and no one would care. In fact, people would applaud you for it, and you could still create Star Wars that way. And I feel like some people are kind of scared to touch Star Wars, especially Rey, because of how that fan, like I'm telling you, the Star Wars fan base is so racist and toxic, bro, that people are terrified. They're terrified to touch this thing. They're terrified to act in it. They're terrified to direct in it. They're terrified to write it. They're terrified to be cinematographer. Like they're just terrified. It's John Williams carries Star Wars way more than people will probably give him credit for. And people love John Williams, but man, he carries Star Wars, man. He carries that thing. And Darth Vader carries Star Wars. Obi-Wan carries Star. By the way, I am one of I guess the few people who thought the Obi-Wan series was actually really good. Don't get me wrong, there are some episodes where I'm like, this is not strong, and this definitely should have just stayed a movie. But the fights, the end Darth Vader fight versus Obi-Wan fight was so freaking good. Like there were so many really good moments. Like it was a good series. Wasn't great, wasn't fantastic. It was good, and good is fine, bro. Because at this point, how the state that Star Wars is in, good is fine. Just like the MCU, good is fine. I get it. We're going of MCU or like Star Wars of old and comparing it, and there's no comparison, and I understand that. But good right now that's good. Let's stay consistently good. Let's work our way up to great instead of having mediocre. I'd rather have more Obi-Wan series, or not Obi-Wan per se, but like just like Obi-Wan like series where it's a bunch of good stuff compared to a bunch of acolyte series or like the Boba Fett series. And I just I mean, it's also like it feels like if it's not animation, it feels like if for Star Wars, if it's not animation, they do not know how to tell a story. Because I feel like every single animated project they've made, even the 2D Clone Wars series back in the day, any animated series that Star Wars makes or movie is just so good. It's fantastic, and they know how to write it. They know how to direct it. They know the lore. They have the music. Like, they have the tension. They have everything you want. It's a space. It's an epic space opera with people with lightsabers, glowing sticks fighting each other with powers, and it's, I feel like it's so hard to screw that up. It's not easy writing a movie or making one, but the planning phase to execute, I feel like they're trying to keep up with a demand they've made that's almost not even there anymore because of how bad they've done it. Um, and that's to another point of too much Skywalker saga. Too much. The story has been told. We literally have the beginning and ending. I call it, well, the beginning and true ending. The true ending to me is the last movie with Luke that does not that does not have Daisy Ridley in it. I'm a huge Daisy Ridley fan. I really feel for her and everyone involved with that whole trilogy, but like, bruh, hell no, bruh. So like, hell no, bruh. So the real end is the movie I didn't even watch. I don't even know, the one where Palpatine comes back for some reason. That movie, I refuse. I after oh man, I forgot the names of these new trilogies, but the one where Finn was on some gambling planet for the majority of the movie. After I saw that, I was like, they're not getting a single cent out of me again for the movies. They're just not. That was just my pledge myself. I was like, I'm good off this. So, and that's the thing. No Star Wars property gets me excited anymore. Nothing does. It just doesn't. A new Star Wars, I don't care, bro. If it's not animated, I do not care because anime is the only thing. Animated Star Wars properties is the only thing they've consistently, in my opinion, knocked out of the park, and they've given you something that's worth the damn. And every voice actor they get is really good. And it's not a bunch of celebrities either. That's the beauty of it. They have specific people they've kept employed for years, and they're really good at what they do, and they're really passionate, and that's who they got. And I just, man, even the video games are starting to, they're iffy, man. Like, there's just so much iffiness in Star Wars, and the Skywalker saga is one of the biggest crux. Let it go. Give us something new or even quote unquote old. We can go back to the old Republic if you want. If you wanted to take a break from the Skywalker saga, we could have went way back into Star Wars Legends and really went into some old Republic stuff. Went to stuff even before that, like just some stuff. And then, like I said, they tried to do it with the Acolyte, but no, I need, like, this should have been planned for months about, okay, we're going to take a break from any new Star Wars stuff, meaning stuff in Skywalker Saga or stuff after Skywalker Saga. Let's do Old Republic. Let's right, because right now we need wins. So let's take decades upon decades of books and all this stuff that we retcon and like redo it in our own Star Wars image. Let's take the good stuff, let's add to it, and let's recreate the Old Republic in a way that is going to be awesome, because that's the formula where you get the Jedi back, you get the Sith back. It's a world that we've never seen on the big screen, and we can just have fun. We can have so much fun with it. But no, they refuse. They freaking refuse. They freaking refuse, man. And it's bull. It's really bull. And they're bleeding the Skywalker saga dry. And guess what? If we get a Rey movie, that's still, in a way, a continuation of the Skywalker saga. I promise you it is. And that's just not what they need. They need to let it go. They've got to let it go. And I'm sorry. It's just, especially, I'm not even going to get into what they did to Finn. I've done that many times, said already over. This could be like a 50-minute episode if I talk about that. So let me just move on to the last thing where I said I was gonna come back to it. Is acting and some of the scripts, the planning. It's just bad. Some of the acting is bad. The acting in Acolyte, man. There was like 3 good actors in Acolyte, and not only that, there was like, not only is there like 3 good actors, there was like, so I got a squeaky chair. Not only is there like 3 good actors, but it's like the writing was so bad. Like they made you hate some of these characters. Like the Jedi lady who like had green skin, like that looked like Piccolo. I think she had green skin. I don't even fucking remember. She her character written, like the way her character is written, she is so like I hate that character. So that's one of my most hated characters in all of Star Wars, bro. I couldn't even imagine. It's not even her fault. It's just like the actor's fault. It's not the actor's fault. It is how this thing is written. I was like, gee, like golly, this is trash. I don't even like calling things. That's how you. I don't like calling things trash. That's how you know I'm very serious about this. I do not like the direction they're going in. Which brings me to the second half of all this. The second half of all this. And comment, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on Star Wars. Are you excited for anything new? Like, how do you even deal with any of this, right? So, the second half of this, I want to talk about is something that Maya Hawke talked about. And is that like IG followers are kind of like dictating if and how movies are made, and I think that's terrible. And I knew that was a huge thing in the movies. I'm just happy that people are finally, actors are finally coming out and saying it. And I thought it was a big, like I thought it was a big, not so big Hollywood secret because like it seems like no one really came out to say it. And I could see why, but I'm happy that someone said it because it is so bad, bro. It's so bad. And part of it's this, right? It's like leading when you do stuff like that, because like basically she was like saying that she wanted to delete Instagram, and producers or someone came, like someone powerful came up to her and was like, "Hey, I understand, but if we don't get this, these amount of like people involved in this that have these specific follower accounts that add up to this specific number or threshold, like either this movie's not going to be made, or you're not going to be in this movie, or like whatever." And not like a threat to her personally, but it's just like, hey, this is the business that we're in. These are the metrics that the studio or producer or whoever wants to make happen, and this is what we need. So this is how it's going to be if you want this project to be made, basically. And I think that's super trash. I think that's ridiculous, and that is one of the many, but one of the key reasons why movies and TV shows are so freaking bad, man. More so movies than anything else. I think TV is killing it. I think TV is killing it. But movies, man, no. I think it's leading to the wrong actors being chosen. I think there's plenty of examples, especially like YouTube Red, where they're like, hey, let's just get a bunch of famous YouTubers. And if y'all remember what YouTube Red was, let's get a bunch of famous YouTubers and just put them in shows that they have no acting capabilities, they have nothing, but they have a lot of subscribers, and subscribers will tune into anything they watch, and they realize very quickly that's a terrible idea and terrible business model, and we will not stand for mediocrity, especially from our favorite YouTubers who cannot freaking act, and get the F out of here, especially making me pay for a subscription fee when it wasn't like a common thing, and to watch freaking Logan Paul act. No. I think the influencer market is dividing fan bases. This is something within a topic of itself that could be a whole podcast episode, which maybe I'll do, but like the influencer market dividing the fan bases, I feel like that is very true. Because I feel like if you notice, especially on like Twitter and Instagram and even YouTube, like there's so much divisiveness, like there's so much tension. There we go. There's so much tension when it comes to like movie reviews or reviews of something, And there's all these brand deals, there's all these marketing schemes and plans, and the studios are constantly applauding, and they're using influencers more and more, or content creators more and more every day to like market their movies. I've gotten offers before. I've done it, so I know firsthand what it's like to be used. Don't get me wrong, it's not like it's an honor, it's great, blah blah. It's exciting, but I understand the game. I know the game. I know what it is, and it is very interesting because like now, granted, I've had partnerships where it's like literally just show a trailer, like it's very show a trailer, blah blah. But there's been situations where it's like I know people who, and it turns them into really shitty people who get paid to basically like make content that is going to stir the pot because any publicity is good publicity, like that mentality. And I just feel, and you see these influencers everywhere, and they're invited to all these premieres, they're invited to all this stuff. And I'm not trying to steal their chicken. I'm not trying to steal their spotlight. Like, hey man, you've worked for it, go for it. But there's a time and place where if you let the followers and these influencers in, you're going to disrupt the pure art that is filmmaking. You really are. And that stops being a merit based system of like, hey, let's get the best actors, the best directors, and the best producer to work on this movie that we possibly can. Let's actually audition people. Let's make sure we get this right. They don't do that. And then you get these mediocre movies. And the promotions are weak. They're just weak. There's movies that come out that I'm like, where was the promo for this movie? And it's not cheap to do marketing stuff. It's not cheap to fly your actors and directors, all these people all over the place. I'm talking about like some of this stuff is so freaking weak, man. And it's become a problem. And yeah, these influencers, no one's going to tell you because that's their bread and butter, and they work so hard for it. I'm really not trying to like talk about it to a way of like they should be unemployed or some shit. I'm just saying they're being used, and their following count is being leveraged to influence movies and influence discussions, and they're not positive all the time. And when they get negative, it gets really negative, and negativity really sells, especially online online forums where people can communicate and cuss each other out, and it's really shitty, and it sucks. I think it's ruining the artistic culture. I mean, you have situations where it's like you're at the Grammys or you're at the Oscars, you're at the whatever award ceremony, and you see a bunch of influencers sitting like within the talent who actually make the movies. And it's like, and they're just allowed to walk around vlogging and stream and just do stuff. And it's very interesting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong because I really can't speak on that, but it's interesting to say the least. It really is. And then seeing some of these stars and stuff like conform to some of these influencers and stuff because they know the influencers have a large role to play in how they themselves as stars can get their movies made in the future, and where they have to go for their interviews because they go on these podcasts and streams now for all these interviews now. And it leads to my last point, which is where I want to leave it off at, it is like journalism being dead. I mean, a lot of these people did not go to school to be journalists. A lot of these influencers and stuff, they didn't go to school to be journalists. They didn't. A lot of people, and I've always said this, whether it's like people who did go to school for radio and journalism, all that stuff, it's really difficult. And I've seen this more in the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. It's very difficult, and especially in sports, it's very difficult to befriend someone that you know you're going to openly have to critique on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Because your bias will come out, because of course it will. That's your friend, and it's going to create a really weird dynamic, and you're just not going to be genuine or honest. That's just what it is. I don't care who you are. You're just not going to be. And so I'm not saying you can't have friends in the industry, all that stuff. I'm just saying that like there's a lot of morality, there's a lot of ethics, there's a lot of things that go into journalism, and you can be trained. You can be trained to do it. You don't have to like this in this era now. Like there's so many like podcasts, all this stuff and things going on. You can be trained to do it and have that code, that morality, and those ethics, but it goes out the window because a lot of people are compromised by the marketing giant. Because you're given free shit or invited to places for free, even flown out, so that you can cover an event or use your followers to promote these movies. And we're getting away from a lot of the recipes. We're getting away from like there's so many film festivals now where it's like it's not for regular people. Regular people can't afford $1,500 to go to no film festival to go enjoy some of these movies, man. Like it's become this high society bullshit. We've taken it away from the average person. Just like we're taking the everyday, not even the average, the everyday movie going experience has become so expensive that we're starting to take it away from the average person that help builds these studio lots with their money, their hard-earned money. Man, it costs like the regular ticket to go see the new Captain America movie is damn near almost $20. A couple of years ago, that's IMAX money. That's insane. And that's with no popcorn, no drinks, no nothing. And if you're a real movie purist, if you are a really theater goer, you know that popcorn. I myself like to have a big bucket of popcorn with butter, and I like to put some Sour Patch Kid watermelon in that joint, mix it up, eat it. It's amazing. I don't care what y'all say. Savory, sweet, love it. Salty, savory, sweet, all of it, love it. And water, I'll choke if I don't drink water. But I digress. It's a part of the movie going experience, and yes, it's not like movies are a necessity. But it is not supposed to be this expensive. People can't even afford to go with their families because it costs so much. You're going to be spending on average probably like somewhere between $50 to $120, bro. The whole game's fucked up right now. And just hearing that story from Maya and just seeing that like, oh, we need someone on this movie, or we need this person in this position or that position to have all these followers so that these movies can be made. I don't blame people for having some kind of weird tension with this. It's a weird space we're in, and I don't think that follower count should have anything to do with why someone got cast in a movie. I don't think follower count should have anything to do with many things. I understand when it comes to marketing and who you want to market to, because obviously you want to target the most amount of people for your bang for your buck. So I understand the thinking behind that. But even that should be real minimalized. There's a lot of credible journalists who are still doing the influencer thing, they have their own channels and all that stuff. There's so many different routes we can go. And I just feel like when we compromise art to that degree, we're making disingenuous pieces of shit, and it's not good for anybody. And it's just like, hey, instead of making movies that are really experimental or fun and an epic time, we're going to just make wherever we can with a bunch of basically like famous people, because we want to target a certain demographic that we can't usually reach. Or we know that, oh, because this person's in the movie or part of the movie, that means people are just going to go see it. So it doesn't matter what role we give them, it doesn't matter how shitty it is, they can go see it. And I think that's wrong. I think it's gross. And I think there's a whole point we have an audition process. There's a whole point where there's traditional media. There's a whole point where there's a media circuit. Like there's so many things that's freaking wrong with what we're doing. And I promise you, people can make reviews when they go see it day one like everybody else, and can go make the review and we'll be fine. But this thing where we're constantly counting numbers and constantly always hip to like, oh, how much is made opening weekend? Oh, there's this percent drop. This is a buzz. Let's put it straight on streaming service in a week or in a month, and let's not let it breathe because some people can't afford to go see it. Let's just discount $7 Tuesday, or they have to wait until a couple weeks to get paid, so then go watch it now. But guess what? It's out of theaters on a streaming service that I don't own because that costs money and I don't have it. That's the society we live in, and I'm so sick of it. And it's ruining movies. It is ruining movies every time. And I'm sick. Because I love movies. I love the filmmaking process. I love talking to actors. I love picking their brain about their process and why they love movies and why they got into it. And I think it's been compromised. It's being compromised. And I know how I said it made it sound like I just blame the influencers 100%. I do not, because it's a way of living. And there's plenty of great content creators, influencers that really love movies just as much as I do, take their craft very seriously, and are awesome interviewers. But there are being a lot of influencers across the board are being used and they are taking advantage of the studios, both sides, and really compromising art. And it's fucking wrong. It really is. Excuse my language. I'm sorry I edited it like that. I shouldn't have said that. Like, comment, subscribe, share. What's your thoughts on Star Wars? What are your thoughts on the movie industry in terms of letting IG followers dictate certain aspects of the movie going or movie making experience? Let me know your thoughts. Much love, much peace. See you on the next one. We're going full throttle episodes. We're going to try to do episodes twice a week. Much love, y'all. Peace out.